Now, let's get to the meat of it with Twilight Princess, where our companion Midna made her debut. I think she's a fan favorite. She's definitely my favorite. She is a companion that's integral to the story and the mechanics of the game. Midna is the Twilight Princess, but I'm getting ahead of myself. At the beginning of the game, a war is being waged on Hyrule. Beings from another world have launched an all-out assault and blanketed the land in twilight, an eerie magic that turns people into spirits and throws out the balance of light and dark. Link is torn from his home, his friends, and even his own body. As he awakens, captured and in the form of a beast, the Triforce of Courage, which he unknowingly had in his possession, protected him from turning into a spirit under the influence of Twilight, but brings out that dog in him. Midna is introduced as a mischievous imp with strange powers connected to the monsters taking over Hyrule. She breaks Link out of his cell, agreeing to help him on his quest under the condition that he work for her. At first, Midna only wants to use Link to achieve her own ends. She's condescending to Hylians, and openly wonders if the influence of Twilight is really such a bad thing. She's bossy, jeering, and she will just bounce at times. Like when you're in a burning building, or if you drown in quicksand, she'll just scoot. Midna takes being a leader very seriously. She thinks Zelda was weak and spoiled for surrendering her kingdom. She has a lot of pride in where she came from, and mentions from time to time how convenient and advanced her people's magic is. Mechanically, Midna has the ability to lay down an energy field that allows Link to attack multiple enemies at once. She's also necessary for warping around Hyrule. It's no longer up to Link and the song he has in his heart. He can warp huge objects as well. If you played Smash Bros, you know that's why the bridge disappears. So this next ability doesn't make as much sense to me. There are platforming sections in the game that are impossible to reach unless Wolf Link faces her or she leads him, I guess. Like, it's crazy. She is guiding this dog across 50-foot chasms. But maybe she uses some sort of magic on him that turns off the gravity or something. I don't know. What I'm trying to say is, Midna has a lot more utility than the companions that came before her. At the midpoint of the game, you gather all the pieces of what Midna sought. The Fused Shadow, an ancient weapon created by the Twilight, Midna's people. At this point, she's warmed up to Link, thanking him and apologizing for dragging him all over Hyrule, making him leap across 50-foot chasms. Then Zant appears and literally ruins everything. But I do love the writing and direction of this game. Zant is arrogant, coming across as in total control. With a wave of his hand, he sends away the final light spirit he worked so hard to restore, plunging the world back into twilight. He curses Link to eternal furrydom, and then brings back the light spirit, forcing Midna, unprotected, into the world of light. But through this act of arrogance, The light spirit regains enough control to send Link and Midna to safety, where Link discovers Midna is mortally wounded. As a fellow redhead, I know how that is. If I'm outside for over half an hour, I'm in the same state. But this is such a great and memorable moment. This section makes you feel so frantic and vulnerable. This is the first time a Zelda companion has been put in danger, let alone wounded. You get Midna to Zelda, and Midna makes a dying request for Zelda to help Link unwolf himself. Zelda realizes who Midna is in that moment. Bad bitch recognizing bad bitch. And heals Midna at the cost of her own life. I guess. But she's kind of still alive. When you get to the final boss, they can't kill Zelda in a Zelda game. I get it, but it's not very well telegraphed, which is weird for this pretty consistently written game. Also, why does Zelda look like the merchant from Resident Evil 4? I guess in the Twilight Realm, the bearers of the Triforce turn into beasts. Link into a wolf, Ganon into a boar, and Zelda into a cockney creature.
Thank you.
After Zelda's sacrifice, Midna is all in on saving Hyrule. This foreign world of harsh light. Midna opens up to Link more about herself, and the pain she feels for the Twilight being cast away into another world for their ancestors' power-hungry transgressions and defiance of the gods. She laments that her people are paying the price for a crime committed generations before them. When you reach the Mirror of Twilight, a gateway between worlds, you find that the mirror is broken, and Midna's only path to her home has been severed. The sages protecting the mirror explain that many years ago, they couldn't execute the great evil plaguing Hyrule at the time. Ganondorf, of course. So, they sent him away into the Twilight Realm, kind of rubbing it into Midna that her home is this world's dumping ground. They also explained that Zant, using Ganondorf's power, broke the mirror into fragments and scattered them across the world, but he couldn't shatter it because he wasn't Twilight royalty, and this is where it's revealed that Midna is the Twilight Princess. After collecting all the mirror fragments, you're able to enter the Twilight Realm. Midna asks to hide in your shadow, still ashamed of what she's been reduced to by Zant. Oh, yeah, she's been cursed by Zant to look like a little gremlin. That's not just her natural state. She also asks you not to harm her people, who look very much like the enemies that have been attacking you throughout the game. The Twilight are naturally peaceful. It's just a small few who followed Zant on his path of violence. You face Zant, whose mask of calm, collected authority falls away to reveal a power-hungry maniac. He's also a freak. After you defeat Zant, Midna regains the fused shadow and pops him. Like, he literally pops like a balloon. But Zant is revealed to only be a puppet of Ganondorf. So Midna is still trapped in her imp form. Zant declares he will revive as long as Ganondorf lives, but for now, he's out of the way. You return to Hyrule Castle, which up until now has been inaccessible behind a magic barrier. Midna dons her freaky little helmet and becomes a being of undulating, barely contained power. He breaks through the barrier and opens the way for Link to storm the castle. When they finally confront Ganondorf, he acknowledges Midna and her people for their defiance of the gods, but say they never really stood a chance, as they don't have the God-given powers of the Triforce, then revealing that he has Zelda, or at least her body, and the Triforce of Wisdom held captive. Midna rushes to protect her, but Zelda is possessed by Ganondorf's power. For a moment, Midna considers attacking Zelda, with Ganondorf inside her. Ew. But can't bring herself to, after all Zelda did for her. Midna is flung away, and Link has to face Puppet Zelda on his own, reminiscent to how Navi couldn't help you in your fight with Ganon in Ocarina of Time. After you defeat Puppet Zelda, Ganon comes out as a furry too. But you prove that wolves are cooler than pigs. Ganon's fart gas of a spirit comes out, releasing some sort of hold he had on Zelda. And her life force is able to return to her body from Midna. So, she's fine. It's fine. Everything's fine. Except Ganon's spirit is shaking the whole castle. So, Midna decides to face him on her own, sending Link and Zelda to safety while she uses the fused shadow one last time. Link and Zelda watch on as the castle is reduced to rubble, and a lone figure emerges from the smoke and debris. Ganondorf holds Midna's empty helmet triumphantly over his head, breaking it in his grip. Once again, the power of the Twilight could not defy the power of the gods. Link and Zelda work together and finally drive the Master Sword into Ganondorf's chest. He's left standing, however, confident he will not die, as he is graced by the Triforce of Power, which did not allow him to die before. Plus, he still has his contract with Zant. But, once again, Zant ruins everything. He very loudly breaks his end of the contract. At last, able to exact his revenge on the gods that cast him and his people away. He dies at last, still standing like the king he is, with his hair curlers still in. The light spirits combine their power and revive Midna. It's the least they could do. Link runs to her and realizes she's been yassified. Her true form restored, Midna, Link, and Zelda say their goodbyes at the Mirror of Twilight. With a heavy heart, after seeing the damage the fragments of the mirror could do, Midna destroys it. Ever dutiful, thinking of what's best for her people and for Hyrule's, Midna sacrifices her own happiness and connection to the place and people she's come to love. So, yeah, I pretty much just explained the whole plot of Twilight Princess. Because I felt like I had to, you can't really dissect Midna's character without also dissecting the entirety of the game. She's deeply embedded in her game, more so than any other companion before her. The companion formula evolved over the series, culminating in Midna. Navi as the guide and the lock-on function, Tattle with her character arc and shifty alliance, and the King of Red Lions with his regal air, level traversal, and identity reveal. To me, Twilight Princess has such tight writing and theming. I feel like every time I play it, there's something new to appreciate. One of those being Midna as the best companion. Subjectively, in my humble onion. And that just makes it so much more heartbreaking that the momentum that was built up to Midna just stopped and then reversed with Fi as a companion. So, in part 2, let's talk about how Fi fell flat. Fi fell flat. And how we can take the framework established and make her a better companion. Maybe even better than Midna. Dare I say.